Welcome into Mailbag Tuesday here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. It's a lovely day in Chicago. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Lawrence is here as well.
Hello.
Spinning the dials. Thanks for your patience as we were out chasing our balls all over the place yesterday at St. Andrews in West Chicago for the inaugural Cookout Classic.
Golf balls.
Exactly. I don't know what else you could have possibly gained from that, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we're doing another one next month, so go to allchgo.com. We'll give you some more info on that a little bit later, but the CHGO Kickoff Classic August 23rd at Cog Hill. So if you missed or enjoyed the Cookout Classic, you can come join us at Cog Hill for the Kickoff Classic.
Kickoff. Second annual Kickoff Classic.
That's a lot of fun.
2 in a row. We've made it.
That's a streak. Yeah, August 23rd out at Cog Hill. Was a lot of fun last year. Yesterday was a lot of fun. Had a great weather, great time. Yeah, so go to allchgo.com, go to events. If you haven't signed up for the August 23rd Kickoff Classic, do it. You don't want to miss out. It's great. I love golf. I love golfing with friends and coworkers and people that we've never met before, and saying hi and saying that they love the podcast and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good time. I was not as horrible as I expected.
No,
so
you oversold how bad you were.
I am bad. I played better than usual.
You're not that bad. Oh. There were many shots that we used of yours. You had a handful of bombed drives right down the middle.
Look at you.
You started and finished our round with a birdie putt.
True. I was as surprised as anyone.
It was good stuff.
Yes.
And you were lefty, which I didn't know.
Yeah. All my life. Anyway.
I didn't like the par threes, though. A little long.
They were long,
a
yeah.
long course.
Yeah.
They're long course.
Well, I'd say the par fives weren't too bad.
Par fives were not
Par
too
fives
bad.
weren't too bad, but the par threes, like all of them were like 170, 180. I was hoping for like a nice 120 par three,
Sure.
just take out the pitching wedge.
Let me hit my 8-iron. Let me hit a 9-iron.
You had to work for it.
Par opportunities are fun. Or birdie opportunities, I mean.
Yeah, they are
fun. Well, it was a good time either way. Love those courses with those big old trees and just a beautiful place to play if you've never been.
My favorite part of the day, I got to the driving. I'm walking up to the driving range, and who spots me and starts coming towards me? Charlie the bacon guy.
There he is.
Yeah.
And he brings me a little cup of bacon jam, which I'll tell you, by like the 5th hole, it was perfectly needed, and it was wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I put it on my hot dogs at the turn.
Oh, hot dogs at the turn. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
I got
very good
Ruffles.
idea. Brats were good. I had a hot dog.
Yeah, brats were good.
Some beers. Some Coors Lights, of course. It's a good time.
Good times.
So come join us next time for the Kickoff Classic, August 23rd at Cog Hill, allchgo.com. And if you're a diehard, you get preference. All right, we've got some news to get to today. Before we do, please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page as well. And if you're a podcast listener, like, subscribe, review, all that great stuff. We would appreciate that. So we're going to start with this 1901 project, which was announced this morning. There is a massive undertaking between the Wirtz family and the Reinsdorf family called the 1901 Project. They're basically going to build up all the area around the United Center with concert venues, different levels of condominiums and places to live, some more expensive than others, lots of green space, lots of park space. I guess you can kind of imagine this as the Blackhawks answer to, or the United Center answer to Gallagher Way, or what they call the Deer District in Milwaukee. A lot of venues are going this way. And if you're watching here on YouTube, we're kind of showing you the reveal video they sent out. My first thought was, well, you're building up on all these parking lots. Where's the parking going to be? But at the same time, I know that the Hawks and Bulls make a lot of money from parking, and they're not just going to walk away from that money.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident that there will be plenty of parking available. And there's also going to be, from all reports, a Damon Green Line stop, which will be very, very helpful.
I would
as
friggin'
well.
hope so, considering Lake and Damon has been closed for 3 years
that's
now.
I mean, that's already
that's happening.
That even before this project was in the works, which is good. That was definitely necessary, even outside of this. But yeah, I mean, you and many others, when they heard that all the parking lots are being bought out and built upon, were worried about parking. But I think with what this project is laying out, it's that it's not. We were talking about it before the show, like a parking lot as a one level space is limited. But if you create a lot from a lot and you make a structure where it goes multi-level, you can take up much less space to get much more parking. And as laid out in the project details and everything, the structures are not just going to be parking structures. Like, they're going to also have retail shops and I assume restaurants, and then the roofs of them are going to be green spaces that they said that they're open to working with the Chicago Park District on getting them like completely done up to be like in the article by Abby Miller from the Chicago Sun-Times mentioned about using Millennium Park as like an example of like what they could use with those green spaces. So as far as parking goes, if that's going to be the biggest concern with this, I feel like it's probably not going to raise that many issues, because I look at what they did in Milwaukee. I lived in Milwaukee a decade ago, and the downtown area around then the Bradley Center was dead. Like, there was really not much there. People didn't go there. It wasn't a destination. And then when they built the Pfizer Forum, they created that Deer District, and it became a hub for that downtown area. So with that in mind, with what they did with Wrigleyville and Gallagher Way in mind, like, I don't know, I feel like this is a great idea, as we've seen with many different projects here in Chicago and with our friends at PHNX in Arizona. Renderings and mock-ups look wonderful. And I'm optimistic for it, but definitely I will believe it when I see it when I'm 45.
Yeah, I mean,
In 10 years.
I have no reason to believe it's not going to happen, or it's gonna. I mean, it's what's nice about it is it's privately funded. It's not. There's zero tax dollars going to this. It's going to create a crap ton of jobs, both part time while the construction's happening, and then full-time when the buildings are in use.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be active during the off-season of Bulls and Hawks, because right now you get to smoke out and you get a handful of concerts during the off-season, but then it's that big swatch of land is pretty much dead, for the spring and summer.
Mm-hmm.
So by the way, a 6,000 seat venue. The Chicago Theater holds 3,600. So 6,000 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a decent sized venue. So I don't know. It's exciting. Like, instead of it just being a bunch of parking lots slapped around the building, they're using the space. They're going to have adequate parking for everyone. They're going to have other transportation options. I don't really see a downside to this at all. I think it's good for the neighborhood. I do hope that what they're saying about the housing is accurate, where it's like, well, we'll have moderately priced, we'll have affordable, and we'll have luxury.
Yeah, what was
I want to know what the definition of affordable is.
Yeah, what was the term? Multi-income.
Yeah, multi-income
housing.
So rich, very rich, and super rich can all afford to live in one.
Hopefully it's not that, but
we've heard Rocky Wirtz for years, and Danny Wirtz has continued to say they want to invest into the West Side. They want to invest into the community, and here they are, doing exactly what they've been talking about. And in our almost 3 years of getting to know Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner and how the Blackhawks operate, there is no way that this hasn't been planned out to every little detail,
right,
and had study after study done. There's going to be plenty of parking. Don't worry about it. Obviously, as Jay, you mentioned it earlier, they're not going to just say, nope, we don't need the get 30 bucks
Yeah, right.
from 15,000
every car
cars
that
a
comes
night.
here, yeah.
They're not going to just give that up, especially when they're spending their own money to build this. So they will have plenty of parking. I think it's apparent that not as many people drive to games as used to. Just look, they gave up. They sacrificed parking to build the atrium that everybody loves.
Yeah.
They sacrificed a parking lot to build the Advocate Center where the Bulls practice. That hasn't been a hindrance to anybody finding a parking spot at the United Center.
That whole one lot is now an Uber lot.
Right.
Yeah.
More
Right.
and so many people use that for, especially for concerts
Yeah.
and Hawks games. Like they take advantage of that. If they have, the Green Line finally opens up that station, there's another option. Like, this is developing the area around it. The West Loop, where we are, just a couple of blocks east of the United Center, has developed nicely. It's a great place to live. And now that they're trying to do the same thing right around the United Center, make it a destination. Don't just go just for the Hawks game, show up 10 minutes before puck drop and leave right after the game.
Yeah.
No, now you can come a couple hours before the game, enjoy some activities, go to a nice restaurant, and then walk across the street and go to the game.
You make it a lot easier for people to make going to Bulls games and Hawks games and concerts and all that, make it more of an event.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how many times...
Spend a day there,
Yeah. How many times have you had, friends or family are saying, like, oh, I'm going to the Hawks game. Like, what's a good restaurant to go to? And you're like, oh, there's, some places on Madison. There's some places over here. And all of the issue is, like, okay, getting into the city, parking on a side street, and then you're going to park to the like, if you make it like, okay, just go to the whatever it's going to be called, the 1901
project, yeah, district
like that, or whatever, yeah. Maybe they call it Jerry World. If
No,
that's not already trademarked.
No, if
We won't be doing that.
if they want people to show up, they wouldn't do that.
Danny World. But yeah, I mean, you go down there, and a few hours ahead of time, you get early dinner at a restaurant. You go, you bring your kids to the game. You can go run around in the park and then go into the stadium and enjoy the game. Like, it sounds wonderful, like a great, place to go and enjoy the pageantry of going to a game. Like, it makes it more of an event, more of a destination. And I think it's wonderful that as of right now, there is no plan to take any money from the public.
Nope,
So
that's great.
Let's a couple
that sounds
comments
good to me.
before we get to the break zone. Ray's up there a little bit lost. Says 20,000 fans going into the same parking garage sounds like a nightmare. It does, which is why I'm sure there will be more than one parking garage.
And not all 20,000 fans drive their own car to a game.
And then Adrian says that Damon Green Line will be a nightmare during Bulls and Hawks games. It has worked at the Addison stop for 100 years at Wrigley
But
Field,
they-
and yes, it's a nightmare.
Someone mentioned the pink line need to add a stop for the pink line there, where it's by the Advocate Center, right? I think.
Yeah,
the
it's
pink
right.
line-
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
beyond the
It
Advocate
goes
Center,
right
which is so
past it.
bizarre they don't already have a stop there.
It was George M.
But if
said
you have
they
a
need to
green
put
and a
cash on
pink
Polk. Yeah.
flanking the United Center and flanking that 1901 district, like that's
yeah, that'd be perfect.
there's going to be people that are just going to say, "I'm taking a train. I work downtown. Instead of getting in my car and driving to the game, I'll jump on the L and get to the game in 15 minutes."
I used to live on the north side of the city, and for a portion of time worked at the United Center, and had that Damon Green Line stop had been open at that time, I would have just taken the train from Brown Line, transfer to the Green Line over. It would have been a lot easier than driving 45 minutes to go 4 miles to go to the United Center on a daily basis.
And James says, is any of this tied into the Fifth Third project they have for their practice facility? I don't think so. That's pretty far removed
That's
from
a Hawks only venture too.
Yeah,
this is
right,
a
yeah.
partnership
This is
between the Bulls
United
and
Center.
and the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it really be too tied into it. But
And Windy City Hockey says add cup holders inside the UC. I think that's next on their list. They're going to get the 1901 project done and then cup holders.
Cup holders first.
And Ongo Gablogian, I think I said that right.
is that
says,
Dr.
question
Mantis
is,
Toboggan?
how will this affect ticket prices? I don't think that the outdoor experience is going to lend to ticket prices
No.
changing differently than they would anyway.
you know what's going to affect the
Yeah, I
ticket
wouldn't
prices
think
when
so.
this team starts being good again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That
at
will
least for
affect-
the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I don't-
can't speak for the
I
Bulls,
don't
but
buy Bulls tickets, so I don't care.
All right, we'll get to your mailbag questions here coming up, but first we got to hit the break zone.
Yes, we do. And choose Ray Chevrolet as your first draft pick and find the right new Chevy and price exactly for you. Visit our partner this July to shop the Freedom to Save sales event going on all month long at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, find the perfect tailgate vehicle right now. Get $12,000 off MSRP on a new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado, or lease the new 2024 Chevy Trax for just $188 a month for only 24 months, or cruise into July your own way and shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and absolutely no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices we're talking about now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. So shop the Freedom to Save sales events all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And sometimes when you're out on the golf course and you're golfing with people that you never golfed with before and you're afraid of embarrassing yourself in front of friends and others and viewers and all those things, you just need to take that edge off a little bit and chill. And when you make that decision to chill, why not make that decision with a nice cold Coors Light? It is the coldest beer out there. It is great on a hot day on the golf course. And when those mountains turn blue, you know it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So when you are ready to embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. That was exactly a minute.
Saw a question from Michael Evans in
awesome.
the chat asking about when Jerry Reinsdorf has owned the Bulls. This says he bought a controlling stake in 1985 for $9.2 million. And the Bulls are currently worth $2.5 billion. So a good return on his investment there.
Good Lord.
If he were to, I don't know, sell the team.
Yeah, the Wirtz family actually owned the Bulls for a little bit in between the original owner and Jerry Reinsdorf.
Interesting.
Little fun trivia there.
So how come? I guess this is more for the Sox show later, but so Jerry doesn't want public money for this one, huh? What's up with that?
That's it's a different discussion.
Yeah.
I think Jerry is trying to leverage something
You know, if
as it pertains to a baseball team.
maybe what they can do is instead of using the parking lot spaces to build parking structures, maybe they'll just build a new baseball stadium right there and just say screw parking.
There you go.
I mean,
You only had to have about 5,000 seats
I
in
was going
there.
to say, you don't need parking if nobody's coming.
They could just play in the new music venue.
That's
6,000
true.
seats?
Yeah.
That'll fit Sox
That's
fans.
not good
Let's
acoustics.
get like 12
Great.
sellouts a year.
That'd be great. Oh, it's Cubs games, too. Got to keep those in mind. They play somewhere else for that. Neutral site.
Play in the United Center for those games.
There you go. $10 super chat from Thomas says, this is a great investment. These guys will make their money back in no time. Plus, we criticize owners for taking advantage of fans. We should also praise them for investing in the community. And that's it. Like,
fair point.
look, when you see something like this, my first thought is, okay, who does it impact negatively? Are houses being torn down? Are people being displaced? Frankly, the people that lived around the United Center 15, 20 years ago have already been displaced, right? That area is pretty much already gentrified. You could probably say north of Lake might be a little bit lower income.
Yeah, there's
But
some
I don't
stuff
think
south
that-
of Lake. There's a few things. If you go straight north of the United Center, there's a couple.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Streets in
feel
there.
like those will be directly impacted.
Well, no, yeah,
It seems like it's
impacting concrete.
Yeah,
Right,
it
yeah.
seems like it's
Asphalt.
just they're just making use of the parking lot
The land they already
spaces
own.
that already were there. I don't think it's we're knocking down these buildings, we're moving these houses. I think it's just the parking lot spaces, all that open space that's just used for cars is going to be built into something more useful.
And I'm raising my hand as a white suburban male. Grew up very privileged. I understand that, so I don't have full understanding of these things. But I would imagine that building up the area around there and making it a place that's accessible, that's filled with people, that is used year-round, is probably good for the health of the neighborhood. It will probably make the neighborhood safer for the people that live there, as opposed to from most years, May till September, it's pretty much nothing going on, and it's just a bunch of empty space.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't having a place that's active year-round be more likely to have security, police presence, just people around instead of just vacant lots? I would imagine that's good for the people in the area around it. As long as they're not completely driven out by, well, now look how nice this area is, so now your rent's going, and that will happen, I'm sure. But I don't know if you could directly blame this project for that.
I don't know. That's above my
that's something that's going to take
knowledge level.
years and years and years to actually happen. So
I like this. They have a before and after, which it's now disappeared. So never mind. If you go to the 1901 Project Chicago.com, there's a cool before and after slider where you see here's the lots, and then if you slide it to after, and here's what they've created.
It looks great. I just want to see how it plays out. It all sounds great on paper. It's still got to get approved and everything like that, but it sounds like there is already some favorable opinions within the local government about this project and what it'll do. So we'll see.
Yeah, Anthony says, who owns the land? The Blackhawks and Bulls own the land. And they've been buying up the the red top parking lots and those sort of things to make all of that their property.
Yeah.
Which is actually just a smart business idea. Is you don't want other companies undermining your parking. Own it all. It's kind of the same idea as we saw at the rooftops years ago. As the Cubs were like, well, wait a minute, we don't want to get rid of them because they add to the atmosphere, but we also don't want to lose the money. So let's just buy them.
Yeah, let's just buy them.
Let's just do that. All right, let's tear open the mailbag, shall we? We've waited long enough. Thanks everybody for their great questions. If you're a diehard on Discord, you get first priority, and that's where we're going to start today. If you haven't checked it out lately, on the Discord now, there is a specific mailbag room. So anytime something pops in your head for the mailbag, you don't have to wait for our prompt. Just put it right in there, and it'll be perfect.
All right, we will start with AJ. Clearly, this one's from today. In light of recent news, what's one thing you need the 1901 Project to have, a non-negotiable, if you will?
Cup holders.
I'm going to be totally selfish. Closer parking for media.
I'm sure it's a massive priority.
Because some of those January and February games leaving when there's no one in the parking lot and nothing to block the wind really sucks.
It's rough. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they have a structure with some sort of like indoor skywalk or something like that to go from the arena to the parking structure,
just go
wouldn't be bad.
Right from the locker room into a tunnel directly into my parking spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say a personal parking spot for you is a non-negotiable.
But as far as a fan goes, I would love this or the Fifth Third expansion project to include a Chicago Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a physical place to go. Yeah.
I
would agree.
Yeah, that's what I would want to see.
I'd also like to see.
Notice how I said Chicago Hockey Hall of Fame. It doesn't necessarily only have to be Blackhawks.
Good point.
Like the Hockey Hall.
Wendell Young, let's go.
There you go.
No, that's Rosemont. They're not in the city limits.
They're not Chicago. Yeah,
they're gonna have a Rosemont Hall of Fame.
But I would think too, like some food options, a couple restaurant options, and again, Gallagher Way. Maybe it's recency bias. I was just there this weekend. And every time I'm there, like, man, this was such a great idea. You've got Big Star, which is a Chicago-owned business. Smoke Daddy, Chicago-owned. You brought back a McDonald's that you don't feel like you're going to get stabbed in anymore, which is nice. Like, there's a Culver's, but you still, like, have some of the local
Chick-fil-A.
charms of the places there.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it shouldn't all be, like, high-end stuff. It should be a high-end place, and then, like, maybe a quick, like a grab and go, like a Chipotle kind of a thing there.
Sure.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, there should be options for people who, hey, I'm getting to the game right now and I want to eat before I go in or whatever. But I would like to see some, surprisingly to everyone, I would like to see several food options.
You know what I would love to see? And I know it's like literally not possible to happen, but wouldn't this be an amazing way to resurrect hot dogs?
Sure.
Hell yes.
That'd be
I
awesome.
I mean, they tried it in the bleachers at the
I don't
Cubs
think Doug
games for a
wants
while.
to. I think Doug's
I
kind of
think I'm one of the only people that ever thought hot dogs was
Of
slightly
course,
overrated.
here we go again. Good old Greg. He's got to go. He's got to zag when
You
we
know
all
what?
zig.
Your food takes are ridiculous. So you just keep your mouth shut.
My food takes are ridiculous.
In-N-Out Burger sucks. There,
Oh,
I said it
come
live.
on.
The In-N-Out
my
Burger
God.
sucks.
That is
Worst
not my
French
only
fries
food
I've ever
taste.
had in my life.
How about the taco place I got that night?
That was good.
That was good,
I
but that
was the one who
wasn't like a
found it.
chain place.
Yeah.
What?
I found it online. Whatever. I'm talking about hot dogs. I'm not saying hot dogs is bad. I'm just saying it was slightly overrated. I don't like $18 hot dogs. Sorry.
I do.
Well,
I want $20 hot dogs.
I mean, they were sausages.
Awesome.
They were not hot dogs.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they were
Is it worth waiting in line for 45 minutes for
no
sausage?
no sausages.
I don't know. It was kind of fun.
That's my theory. That no meal is worth over $50.
Maybe.
Can't wait till we have an out of context CHGO Blackhawks account. Have you seen the out of context CHGO Bears account?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's somebody just like clips like
it
brags and
yeah.
Carm quotes like completely out of context
Yeah.
in like 5 seconds. So I can't wait for one of like so then someone can just out of context what I just said about
No
no
sausages.
sausages.
Oh, it's happened to us before, so why would this be
Well,
any
yeah.
different?
Sure. Yeah.
By the way, Chris Dubiel says In-N-Out is good. It is good. It's not great.
Yeah,
it's not a life-changing burger.
In-N-Out
It's
is good.
fine.
It
Culver's is better.
It is. It
Culver's
is
better.
not.
You just
McDonald's
need
is
it.
better.
You
Its
just need it if you're
reputation
out
precedes
there. I
it.
just need it.
Chelly's Chili Bar return.
Yes,
That's
I
a
was
good
Windy
idea
City.
too.
Yeah, Chelly's.
Mhm.
That'd be
Yeah, let's
cool.
get Chelly's back. That's where I thought you were going with that when you first.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I really liked hot dogs, and it was close to my wife's like first. Well, it wasn't her first apartment. One of her apartments when she lived separately from me while we were dating in college. It was close to there, so we would go there a couple times. And the duck fat fries were awesome, and I loved that they just paid the fine for using duck fat because they knew that they were going to sell enough to outweigh the fine. But anyways, that'd be fun to see.
That's good.
I'm sure it's 100% not going to happen, but it'd be fun to see.
There you go.
All right. Let's go with this one. This is from our friend Charlie the Bacon Guy.
Hey.
Regarding contracts and cap hits down the road, do you think Bedard would take a team-friendly deal similar to Crosby, getting paid what he's worth, but not going after, quote, the big bucks, end quote, for the sake of team success?
I mean, if he does similar to Crosby and just takes $9.8 million contracts his entire career, he'll always very, very, very likely be underpaid, but it would also be helpful to the team to do that.
Yes. I think John Lester is a good illustration of what your life is like when you win in Chicago.
Yep.
I think Chris Chelios, who has pretty much open door everywhere he wants to go here because he's Chris Chelios and he's who he is. Like, there's value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people would look at Connor Bedard taking $2 million fewer dollars a year or whatever it might be to keep the team more competitive. That's another thing that would just help his legacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if Connor Bedard's going to say, no, I am the second or third best player in the league. I will be paid accordingly, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
And I'll never hold it against him. But if anyone is the personality to say, I'm going to take less to help the team, it's Connor Bedard. Will he do it? I don't know. But if I was to guess, I would say probably yes.
Who is his agent? I'm going to look it up.
I mean, this will be a task for Kyle Davidson.
Yeah.
One of his biggest tasks will be that, managing the salary cap, because we know what Connor Bedard is and have a really good idea what he's going to be for a long time, hopefully. But as some of these other guys, if Nazar hits and Moore hits and some of these other first round picks start hitting and they're all exactly what the staff thought they were going to be when they drafted them, then you really, but if you have that, you can go to Connor Bedard and say, look, we have to pay, you love playing with Frank Nazar and Oliver Moore. We got to pay them at some point too. So every dollar less you take, we can give to them to keep you guys together for as long as possible. So those are discussions that they're going to have, and you could get creative and figure out ways to get more money in his pocket.
Well, EJD here in the chat brings up a valid point. He's got the Gatorade Canada sponsorship just happened. Before he was even stepping on the ice last season, he had a deal with Lululemon.
Yeah.
Like he's getting the
3 pairs of pants, and that's $1 million right there.
Sure, he's getting the endorsement money already. Now imagine he plays a few more years, puts up some big seasons, maybe has more hardware than to add to his Calder Trophy. Those endorsements will continue to present themselves, and so maybe the contract dollars is not his only source of making money off of hockey. Just really quickly here, he is represented by Gregory Landry of Newport Sports Management, who has 12 active contracts. The active contracts are Connor Bedard, someone named Rodwin Dionico, Owen Pickering, Tanner Howe, longtime teammate and friend of Connor Bedard's.
Yep.
Nate Danielson, also a friend of Connor Bedard's.
He's a Western Canadian guy.
Jakob Demick, Tyrell Bauer, Fraser Minton, Cale Fleury, Josh Mahura, Trent Miner, and Blackhawks legend Ian Mitchell. None of these contracts are 7 figures yet.
So that could be a bad thing because
that
the
agent
could
might be like, okay, Connor,
this is my payday, right?
That'd be nice to take that extra couple million.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to
see.
this on the other side. Chris Dubio brings us some good points as well, but we have to hit the break zone, and we will right now.
Indeed, we will, because our friends at Indeed want you to know
I get it.
that they are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search. No. It is to match, and to match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed, because Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors. That's according to Indeed's internal data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. You want to ditch the busy work? Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, again, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this great show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. So just go to Indeed.com/AllCity, that's ALLCITY, right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this here CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Again, that's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
And if you want to look good at the next sporting event you're going to, get fitted out and the best sports gear around from our friends at FOCO. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. You're going to a baseball game this summer, show off your love for your team with team-branded friendship bracelets. How about that?
Hey, nice.
Whether it's jackets, beachwear, those crotchless chaps, or even overalls, there's something for fans of almost every occasion. And we've got our great set decorations from our friends at FOCO here as well. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in our description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off at FOCO.com. Stock up, get some bobbleheads. They got that Frank Nazar one coming out.
Mm-hmm.
The Bedard, Michigan one should be out in a day now. So get over there,
Right.
get your stuff, get ready for the game with our friends at FOCO.
I think I opened up a can of worms before we get to the next question.
Oh, what happened?
Apparently, whoever runs the No Context
boy.
CHGO Bears show is watching live because I have been followed by the No Context CHGO Bears account
Oh, boy.
moments after giving them a shout out on the show. So we should expect that CHGO No Context CHGO Blackhawks account any day now.
Yeah, I got to be a little more careful now with the things I
nice
say.
picture of Carm.
Yeah, it's a pretty
fun.
funny account.
Can't be saying balls so often.
Balls.
or sack.
A couple people, by the way, on sort of the
follow them
info
first.
about the agent, saying, well, the agent's going to want the big payday. That's true, but the agent also gets a cut of Gatorade, Hyundai,
Yeah,
Lululemon,
right.
all
yeah.
those sort of
And
things.
he's
So
never negotiated a big deal before, so
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that
he-
Connor Bedard does not have a more
It seems like
accomplished NHL agent.
Someone else pointed out that Fraser Minton too is like good friends with. It seems like basically anybody that's played with and is friends with Connor Bedard is represented by this guy.
don't be shocked if Connor Bedard moves to a more established agent by the time the big bucks is ready to come. We'll see.
Maybe. Who knows?
I'm just glad I don't have to do those negotiations.
Yeah.
But I think to that that conversation still. I think we're seeing a trend with some of these, young stars in the NHL where they get, their first big deal, and then that's like a ghost cap. Like, okay, well, like New Jersey, it's just like, okay, Jack Hughes, here's your money. No one else is making more than Jack Hughes. So, unless you're better than Jack Hughes, which on New Jersey, I don't really think they have anybody better than them. So if that is the situation here in Chicago, and Bedard, let's say, because he's cheeky, does $9.8 million for 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is, and then that kind of becomes the internal, like, no one's making more than Bedard, as the salary cap goes up, and if that's the practice by Davidson and everything, having nobody locked up more than $10 million as the salary cap goes up over the next couple of years, like, if everyone's bought in on and off the ice, like, that could set them up pretty nicely as far as salary cap goes.
But if you're doing a ghost cap and it's $9.8 million, that's going to pretty much eliminate you from signing any massive free agents, which could be fine if you think all your draft picks are going to pan out.
Sure, yeah.
But that means no Mikko Rantanen. That means no Mitch Marner. That means no Leon Draisaitl. Like, those kind of guys are just scratched off your list, which, again, if these prospects develop into what they hope they're going to be and what they seem to believe they're going to be, then that's fine, because you're going to have
then you don't have
a bunch
to go
of depth,
get them. Yeah,
and you won't need free agency. Great, that'd be wonderful. But I think it's pretty unlikely that everybody that we are projecting as a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman is going to actually pan out and be that. If it happens, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
It'd be the first time that's ever happened, if it happens.
Yes, I would think so. Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's get to some more mailbags. But before we do, how about a like spike? We got 56 people hitting that like button. We need more than that. So 3, 2, 1. Spike that like button for us. Elbow smash it. Perfect plex it. Sharpshooter it. Flying elbow drop it.
Super kick.
Give it the Rikishi butt smash.
Give it that's a stink face.
Stink face.
Yeah, there you go.
Give it the I just totally lost my train of
Side
thought.
Russian leg sweep.
Thinking about the stink face. The
Hurricane Rana, your laptop.
You're thinking of the out of context Twitter handle right now.
I had a wrestling finishing move gone, and then I thought of the stink face, and I'm all screwed
That's it.
up.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
GTS.
GTS,
we have.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have the CM Punk.
I don't know, but I heard if you get hurt if you do that move.
Oh, that's true.
Sometimes
That is very true.
if you get hit by it or if you perform it. If you
Both.
I mean,
both.
apparently the guy that does it, every time he steps in the ring, he gets hurt. So I don't know if that's safe.
We are
Doomsday device.
we're
that was the one.
another step
Nice.
further away from getting him on the show.
That's not happening anyway.
He's got that.
Bronco
All right.
Buster, that's a good one too.
Let's get to the questions here as we're going very slowly.
All right,
today.
fine. It's not like we have a ton of questions from.
Ooh, bad
The
term.
mailbag.
We got all
Oh,
summer.
yes,
that we
Mailbag
have.
do.
Friday is a good
Yes,
show.
I love Mailbag
Got all
Friday.
summer.
Yeah, this is from the Discord. This is from Lexi. While the players the Hawks picked the last 3 years are nice, where are the star forwards outside of Bedard? I have a hard time seeing any right now.
Well, I don't.
Look
I mean,
harder.
I don't know how you can make
Lexi.
a call on Frank Nazar or Oliver Moore right now as no's. You saw 3 games of Frank Nazar in which he was arguably the best forward on the ice for the Blackhawks. I don't know
Made
how
an
you're
impact.
completely writing that concept off already. We haven't seen Oliver Moore yet. Sasha Boisvert, we haven't seen yet. Marek Van Acker, we haven't seen yet. Like,
yeah, I think if you're saying Bedard is your baseline for star forward prospects, like, okay, that's a little high. Like, generational talent is the only
Yeah,
way
there's
that you
not
can
going to
have.
be another 1 a.m.
No, not
But you,
very unlikely. Not.
But who's
for
going
this
to be?
team.
Who's going to be?
But who's going to be
Patrick
the
Sharp?
Yeah,
to
who's going to be
his
the prospect that grows along with him? I think Moore and Nazar are the front runners and the easy picks because they're pretty clearly like on that path to developing into being, earning being picked in the teens of the first round. So I think Nazar is a guy that this season, if he doesn't make the NHL roster, it's not a detriment to his development. It might actually benefit him to be a top line guy down in Rockford, getting his first first taste of pro hockey for an entire season. I think Moore and Nazar are there. I think Nick Lardis has got some goal scoring potential at the next level. There's a lot of good forwards. As far as like stud stars, maybe they're lacking a little bit of that, but being a top 6 guy is nothing to sniff your nose at. Shake your nose at.
Don't forget about
How do you sniff your nose? Aren't you by definition constantly sniffing your nose?
Sniff at it. Yeah, is there a difference between breathing out of your nose and sniffing?
I think so.
Hey, don't forget we have future Hall of Famer Colonel John Mustard.
That's right.
Yes.
He's on the team.
So, yes.
And don't forget, even if they have a 20-point improvement this year, they're still probably going to be a top 5 lottery picking team too.
Yep.
So you can always address another forward right there if you need to. So
yeah, and I believe I'm blanking on his name. Stephen Ellis of the Daily Faceoff was the first one that I saw that put out the 2 early rankings for the 2025 draft class. 11 of the 16 players that he gave first round grades to were forwards. So
beautiful.
The Blackhawks are most likely in the lottery again. They'll have probably a really good shot at getting a really good forward.
And we still got that Toronto pick finally from the Peter Mrazek trade. And, you know, maybe things just go to complete hell up there this year. And we got 2 lottery picks.
You'd be so heartbroken.
Everybody would be.
All right, back to the Discord. This comes from Nicocino.
Oh, nice.
Is trading Comesso and a first overall pick maybe a prospect also for Yaroslav Askarov?
Not
completely
first.
outlandish?
I think overall is
First
probably
round,
a typo.
first
A
round.
first round pick.
A first round pick, yeah.
It's not outlandish, but it's probably not necessary.
Yeah, it seems a little redundant.
Well,
Seems like a lot.
that would be a lot, but also it feels like Askarov is probably going to be really, really good. Probably better than Comesso. So, I mean, if you want to go in and get a guy who was an early first round pick and by all accounts in the scouting community feels like a very safe bet to be a top tier NHL starter very soon. I mean, I like Drew Comesso, but also having a guy who's probably going to be better than him, it's not a bad idea. But I think what you were saying too is like it's also maybe not a step you need to take right now.
Right. I think the Hawks are satisfied with Comesso and Guyan as their top 2 prospects. They brought back Mitchell Weeks, so I think the organization is high on. So it's not like they don't. If they had no goalie prospects in the pipeline at all, then maybe you try. But here's another thing. I know people are gonna say it happens all the time, but if the Predators are eventually going to trade Askarov, which would be a huge mistake if I were them, but they just gave Saros that deal. So I have a hard time thinking that they could be sending a future possible all-star Vezina quality goaltender to a team within your division for the next 12 years.
You wouldn't think so.
I know interdivision trades happen all the time, but they rarely involve guys that can haunt you for a decade plus.
Right,
you can do it at the trade deadline, and sure, you can go play for our division rival for 3 months, and then we'll never hear from you again.
Yeah.
I just find it hard that Barry Trotz would trade him to a team that can possibly where he could beat your ass 5 times a year. Not saying impossible, just saying unlikely.
Yeah, I would assume for the Hawks to make it happen, they'd have to pay a lot more than it would take, say, the Rangers,
New York Islanders.
You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. I'm not dismissing it, but it feels like a bit of a long shot based on what it would take.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's not one of those deals that, like, if it happens, okay, but it just seems like giving up your top goalie prospect and a first round pick for another top goalie prospect just seems like you're giving up too much.
Yep.
For an improvement, but how much of it is it really? Like we still don't know. We still don't know.
Exactly.
All right, well, we're talking a little bit of Trashville, so let's go to this one from Blackhawk 63. Do teams have to be cap compliant during the offseason? Nashville is going to be over after their arbitration hearing.
Just got to be compliant by puck drop of the
Start
first game.
It's like the day before the first game of the season. Is the deadline.
That's why nobody's on LTIR right now or any of that stuff. Like all that flips. So you have till I think the day before the regular. So that'd be October 7th. You have to get. There have been times where I remember the Devils did it their first couple games of the season. They only skated 17 guys because they would have been over the cap if they put in so they'll figure it out. And that, all these teams, I mean, you're seeing more and more teams take that Vegas model where like, screw the salary cap. We'll worry about that later.
Right.
Let's just get through the end of the day, cap compliant, and we'll figure it out tomorrow.
Jack Skilly back up and down every day.
It happens
To make the cap work. All right.
Okay, well, we're
You read this
talking
one.
cap. This comes
boy.
from Ted Stryker. It's a long one.
Is that the
Buckle up.
pilot from Airplane?
This is.
Yeah.
Nice.
One of the constant refrains on your podcasts is, quote, plus when the cap goes up, don't worry about it, end quote. Am I the only one who remembers that when Taves and Kane signed their big deals, that the cap had been steadily rising for several years, and that after they signed, even though the money seemed a bit high at the time, it was widely believed that by the end of those deals, they would look like relative bargains. Then the cap stagnated for almost the entire length of those deals. Not saying we should live in constant fear of the cap stagnating again, but at the same time, it would be foolish to operate under the assumption that it could never happen again. Bottom line, the rise in cap is assumed, but not guaranteed.
Well, so I'll say a lot of this conversation that Ted Stryker is referencing has to do with Seth Jones's contract and the fact that he makes $9.5 million, and there's 5 years left on it, right? 6 years left on it. So
I believe
we're saying that kind of in the context of Seth Jones, because that deal was signed by the last guy, and it was a too expensive of a deal. We all agree on that. But at the same time, like, what we know about Kyle Davidson is that he has a long-term plan. He has a long-term vision. He's looking ahead years and years and years. And while no one really knows what the cap's going to do year to year, you can take a look at the health of the league right now and say you've got deals with ESPN, you've got deals with TNT, you've got the Olympics coming up where your players will be back in there. You've got the Four Nations tournaments. So all these things are going to help the NHL grow. They're going to bring in more sponsors. They're going to bring more. I mean, you've got Connor Bedard on an original 6 team. Like, you've got a lot of things that are making the league healthier right now.
there's revenue streams that didn't exist in 2015 that exist now, and the money in the media rights deals are completely different. It's a different different environment that the league is operating in right now as far as money coming in than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I think to summarize, like, what we say about the salary cap is, like, all those things you said in the question are true and may happen, but I think our main point is let's not lose sleep over it now. Like, there's a long way before the Blackhawks get into, quote, salary cap hell.
Right.
Enjoy the journey. If you're in salary cap hell, chances are it's because a lot of these draft picks have hit and now they need to get paid. So what is a best case scenario can turn into a worst case scenario, because in this hard salary cap world, you are punished for drafting and developing young talent well. Lots of things can change.
Yeah.
A new CBA can go in effect, and who knows what happens. So
Yeah, that's after the 26 season?
yeah.
25,
So who
26?
knows? Things could
See.
the landscape can completely change. I just say, when I say, like, the cap will go up. Yeah, the cap is going up. Yes, that will mean salaries around the league will go up. If it goes stagnant, the Blackhawks could be screwed. Sure, as will 31 other teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody will be in the same situation. So the only thing when I say we'll talk about the cap going up and all this stuff is, don't worry about it right now, because it's not a problem right now. If you're focusing on how bad things that can happen in the future, you're going to miss out on the present and not enjoy any of this. So we'll get to that bridge when we cross it, and I guarantee you there is 53 different scenarios already in motion by Kyle Davidson and his staff to navigate the hard cap world.
Yes. Yeah. Well put.
All right, next one from the Discord from one of our diehards, Ted808. So we seem pretty happy with what Kyle Davidson's been doing in his time as GM. I guess it will be a couple more years before we know for sure how his draft picks work out.
Mm-hmm.
So just to convince ourselves we're not all drinking the Flavor-Aid, it was not Kool-Aid.
It was not Kool-Aid.
What would you say are the worst 2 to 3 things KD has done as GM?
It's a fair
It's
question.
interesting.
Bringing back Jared Tenorti last year.
That was not great.
Yeah.
I am not a fan. I wasn't a fan of it when it was signed. I'm still not a fan of it. I was not a fan of the 2-year contract for Andreas Athanasiou last year. You've gotten nothing in return for that. You still may get something, but I mean, I understood why you needed to do that deal, but you could have done that same type of deal to a player that actually gives you something in return.
Yeah.
So I would say those
you can't predict he's going to have an injury that takes him out for 60 games.
But
or whatever.
There's a track record of underperformances and not staying on the ice there. So
Sure.
Those are probably the two biggest things that I'm just like, I didn't like them when they happened. I didn't like them, you could say the Corey Perry thing was not great, but it was great until it wasn't great. It was good until it wasn't.
It was
it was working fine until off ice issues happened. Which
he was
again,
being a
how do you
team
predict
leader.
that?
And he's a 38-year-old guy who's been in the league forever, been on a bunch of teams that no one is. As much as he's a pudwack on the ice, there was never any off-ice red flags about Corey Perry as far as we'd ever heard.
Right.
Like when that signing was made, we're like, oh my God, this guy, this on-the-ice pudwack, okay, now we had the whole thing, our pudwack, right? Because that was the way he played, but there were no off-the-ice indications, again, at least that we were aware of, that Corey Perry was a bad guy or a bad signing. So I would say I think Tenorti is correct, and I don't like the TJ Brody signing. He was bad in Toronto last year. It's a 2-year deal. It's a guy you're paying that might take up a spot from a kid. Maybe he has a bounce back and plays better for the Hawks, which is not completely far-fetched, but I don't think you need Alec Martinez and TJ Brody add to this team when you look at some of the defensive prospects you have ready to go. Again, what Davidson said was he's protecting against guys getting hurt, but we've also seen that Luke Richardson, who for the most part we all like, will opt for a veteran over a kid sometimes when presented with that. He did it with Tenorti, even when the team was a little more healthy. Tenorti played a little too much. So I don't love the fact that TJ Brody's here, but I'll take TJ Brody over Jacob Megna or Jared Tenorti or add your, 4A.
Nikita Zaitsev.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's a better player than all of them.
I remember,
but I don't love the
now
second
that he's
year.
gone, you actually remember.
I don't like the second year on that deal. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but
I mean, if we're in the grand scheme of things, if the things that we're bringing up is he brought back a old bad defenseman, and like these kind of like minor things, like maybe signing Brody to 2 years isn't the greatest idea, or like if those are the things that we're complaining about, let's relish in the fact that he's pretty much 95% of the time doing the right thing.
Yeah, if his biggest missteps are for your 7th defenseman and 9th forward, then you're doing pretty good.
Right.
I know there are people that are waiting to see with bated breath over the next couple years if Lev Shanoff is going to be one of those missteps over Demidov. If Demidov is a star, people are going to scream. No matter how good Lev Shanoff is, people are going to scream, you should have taken him. But, we'll see how that goes. But so far, so good. As you said, if signing a veteran 7th defenseman is the worst thing you've done, then you've done a pretty good job. But time is going to tell. The key to Davidson's success going forward is going to be in the development of these prospects.
And that's it. I mean, we were talking about before this offseason, like, okay, what are the boxes that Davidson has to check? And one of them was, can he bring in top free agents? He didn't bring in the top Stamkos or Gensel, but it didn't fit with what they're doing now. So you go for the, 1B free agents in Bertuzzi and Teravainen, you get both of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean,
his free agent classes have incrementally been better.
Yeah. I mean, you were able to get guys in Teravainen and Bertuzzi who are coming from teams that are Stanley Cup contenders, as in Carolina and Toronto. Maybe a little both overinflated, but whatever. They're playoff teams. And got them to take multi-year deals to come to a team that is not ready for a playoff run for another couple years.
Exactly.
That's an accomplishment.
Yep. All right. Talk a little bit about Luke. So let's go to this one from T-Hawks 29. Is this year or next year the prove it year for Richardson?
I think it starts this year. I mean,
It's this year, I think.
if they have a normal injury year, guys are going to miss time. It's
Yeah,
every
it's
NHL team.
inevitable, Yeah.
There are expectations of significant improvement from this team.
Mhm.
Not playoffs, but what we want to see is the expected improvement, which should be at least 10, 15 points at least.
At least.
Like,
I hope.
that to me would be a little bit less than expectations. I think it's 20 plus.
If this team doesn't get to 70 points on the year, I'd be surprised and disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they get to less than 70 points and everybody's been healthy, then you have to start questioning Luke
They
Richardson.
just fired Derek King and everything's fine.
Well, they should have done that 2 years ago.
And I also want to see some semblance of like, okay, what's the system here? And last year there was a bit of, not that it's bad, this is very bare bones. I want to see more of his like big picture
An identity.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I want to see how that looks. And last year, because of all the injuries, and Luke said this himself, that like we can't really implement all the stuff we wanted to because we were just getting so many guys like just up to speed with the basics.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think this is a prove it year for him. Is he on the hot seat? I don't know, but look,
No, it's not a make or break year for Luke Richardson, but there
No.
definitely needs to be. And we heard it from him, exit interview day, talking about. I talked to some of the veterans. There are some things I need to change the way we practice. Like, so he's going to adjust a little bit here, and so it's not a playoffs or you're fired type of season for him, but there's definitely going to be more pressure on him. And if it's a 65-point season and you've had no major significant injuries, you can the chatter will go from chatter to flat out shouting from some people that he's not the right coach, and they might be right. You know, we'll see what it's definitely a lot more to prove because this is the first of Luke Richardson's 3 seasons where there are some expectations.
Right.
There were 0 expectations the last 2 years. This year, the fan base and ownership and Kyle Davidson, they want to see improvement.
well, look, one thing you should feel good about as a Hawks fan too is like when you look at the top brass leadership of this team from Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner, if it's not good enough, they're going to make a change. Like they bring in Darren Pang, they bring in Rick Ball. Like I know it's different from the on ice,
There you go with the balls again.
but they're not going to just sit still and live with mediocrity. They want to get this back to where it was, and they want to sustain it to where it was. And I don't think that anyone is like, well, I think Davidson probably has the longest leash because he has to see this through to fruition, right? You've got to see. And if, 3 or 4 years from now, none of your prospects have made a significant impact on the team, then you're like, well, maybe it's time to make a change here.
Right.
But you've got to give the Davidson thing some time. But I do think you can say, all right, we're not happy with the way Luke Richardson has been so far. We expected more this year, and we're going to make a change while keeping Kyle Davidson on board. I don't know. I mean, look, the Richardson hire, as we were going through it and interviewing people and talking about the candidates, it made all the sense in the world. He was kind of ready for that job. He had during COVID a run as head coach in the for the Canadians, a couple games, but had some experience there, and it wasn't just another retread like we see over and over and over again. Like we just saw Dean Evison hired by Columbus. Like it's another retread. Luke Richardson was a guy who fits the mold of most NHL coaches in personality and playing experience and playing ability. Has the right personality, I think. So it makes sense. But if it doesn't work,
He signed
Try again.
He signed a 4-year deal, so he's halfway through. So I don't think they're going to be in, unless this year is a complete disaster. I don't think they'll be in any kind of rush to say, as long as there's progression and steps forward taken, then you go into that 4th year. This is your make or break year, Luke. We love you, but if we're going to give you a second contract, here's where we need to see it. That's most likely in year 4, as long as there is progression in year 3, and there should be. There better be.
I think I think this year there is the option of putting more pressure on him because I had remembered. I read this from The Athletic that his 4-year deal, only the first 3 are guaranteed. There's a fourth year option from the club, which is, I guess, not very common in head coaching contracts. So it's an interesting wrinkle in the conversation, because if it's bad this year and the team is relatively healthy, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there is an option for the club to be like, maybe this isn't going to work. And they have it built into that deal that they have the option to do that. So I think there is extra pressure on him this year. I'm not saying that it's like if they get off to a 1-9-2 start, for, let's say, for conversation's sake, a 1-9-2 start can get coaches fired. I think if they get off to that start, reasons. I don't think that he's essentially going to be axed. But if it's bad this year and guys are healthy and there's no progression from some of the young guys, then I think you're really looking at it and you're like, are we sure about this?
Well, then he's lame duck next year too. A
lot
of coaches and teams don't like doing. They don't like having that coach sitting there with no contract.
Because know what the first question is going to be at every practice and every postgame. I mean, what's going on with your contract?
So in that context too, it could be make or break in the fact that they got to make a decision, because if an extension's coming, it's probably after this season or during this season. So if they get off to a good start, an extension for him or like an activation of the, I don't know when that, whatever. I don't know when
that's probably off season
has to be executed, but some sort of acknowledgement or at least a vote of confidence that, hey, we're confident he's our guy. He's going to be here next year, and we're looking to bring him in beyond, will happen either verbally or pen to paper. Yeah. I want to do one more before we go.
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's end on a more fun note. This
All right.
is from Darth Kane.
Yeah.
If you had a day with the Stanley Cup after the Blackhawks win their 7th, what would you do with it, and what would you eat out of it?
Ooh.
We know Greg is not eating an In-N-Out burger, or the French fries, I should say.
Because I'm not going to California to get one. I'm not going to LA.
I think I would do an intimate family and friends gathering, right? Like just people I really...
You're going to say intimate photo
shoot.
The
people that are close to me. And then I would do something in the community, right? Like you'd have like a day where everyone can come out and see the cup and take a picture with it. In terms of like, what would I eat out of it? I don't know, just fill it up with like cheese curds, right? Like that's pretty good.
Those are pretty good.
Just like make a big like burrito bowl out of it.
How about
fill with wings?
Make guac in there. Just
there you go.
Old school with the like mortar pestle style.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do for sure with my day. I mean, I would definitely kind of just have like maybe like an open house. Come by, see the cup.
Yeah.
Maybe have a constant flow of like a beverage out of it. Everybody can get like one of them big crazy loop-de-loop straws and take a sip
crazy
out of it.
Chocolate malt.
Man, what would I eat out of it?
Yummy.
I mean, it's pretty hard not to just fill it up with some pizza rolls and just go to town.
That's pretty good.
That'd be really good. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I would do some sort of like public, hey, let's all hang out with the cup kind of thing. And then also do like a family, like little cookout or something with it.
Take
and
it to a strip club.
Yeah. Well, of course, at the end of the night.
Anthony Tony says, has anyone ever eaten pierogi out of the Stanley Cup? Yep. Marian Hossa.
Marian Hossa did, because that's where his money comes from.
And many other from the pierogi eating area of Europe have done that. Yeah, I mean, whatever I eat out of there can't have any gluten. So maybe just some hot dogs with no buns, just a bowl just a big old bowl of sausages in my face.
Can I make a like what do they call those, like the pizookies?
Clip that.
Like it's a big cookie cake.
Oh,
like put like cookie dough in the Stanley Cup, throw it in a giant oven, and then bake the cookie into the bowl.
You're gonna melt the cup.
I think putting the Stanley Cup in an oven is a good idea. Yeah,
it's fine. It's steel.
I'm sure.
Probably kill off a lot of the weird.
Only jet fuel melts steel beams, as we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Way to go,
How do we miss this one?
Yes, of course, Charlie's Bacon.
Charlie's Bacon is
a lot of bacon jam. That's a lot of bacon jam.
That's a lot of bacon jam.
I would eat all of it.
Doesn't sound like a problem to me.
Yeah.
Big old thing of buffalo chicken dip.
Oh yeah. See, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got lots.
You know what?
That's
it. You know what we'll do is we'll bring it here. And we'll just rotate 24 hours of eating out of the cup. And every hour we change the dip we put in there.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge of cleaning that bowl is gonna have a hell of a day.
It's probably will be
See,
like
you know,
not even in the top
see, look,
10
I have
of
already solved the problem. You know those crock pot liners? They look like
There you go,
hairnets.
yeah.
Just put that over
And
the
I
cup.
guarantee
Yeah,
you,
but,
no
that,
matter
but
what,
then you're not actually eating out of the cup. You're eating out of plastic that is
I
in the cup.
suppose.
well, okay, no matter
But
what
then I
we
don't have to
put
worry
in
about
there,
Chris Draper's baby's poop in there anymore.
no matter what we eat out of it, it won't even make the top 100 grossest things to be cleaned out
That's
of that
true.
cup.
That's probably
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yes. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We got to wrap up all this stuff, and who knows what's going to happen between now and then.
Before we head out, I
Yeah.
just wanted to thank everybody who reached out over the weekend. I want to thank you guys for your lovely tribute on Friday. That was
Law's
very
idea, by
touching.
the way, with
Yeah.
the photo.
Really
Very good
appreciate
idea.
that. It was a nice surprise. But yes, we lost Stella on Friday, just brutal. But really appreciate all the text messages and Discord messages and Twitter replies and Facebook replies. Means a lot, and you kind of lose like the idea of like how much reach we really have when you get hundreds of people you've never met in your life, saying they're sorry that your pup passed.
Yeah.
It means a lot. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that, both myself and Stacy. Really appreciate the outreach we got over the weekend, and it made a tough time slightly easier.
I think it's also a good reminder that most people are good. Most people have your best intentions in mind, and I know we are constantly inundated with the worst of the worst of the worst 24/7. It finds its way into our algorithms. It is on our news all day, all night. But most people in this world, and I think Greg's, the response to Stella's passing has been proof of, like, even if they disagree with your hockey thought here and there, they care about you as a person. I know Lindsay, who's a listener on my other podcast, mentioned like how much our audience feels like part of our lives. They feel like they know us. And I feel that too as a consumer of other podcasts. So to see that reach out was great. Thank you, everybody, for picking up Greg on a tough day. And of course, Stacy, his partner too. But just remember that most people you see that you walk past every day that you're driving next to on the highway are good people with good intentions and good hearts. And I think we lose sight of that a little too much. So
Except for those that don't use their turn signals when changing lanes.
those are Pudwax. And for them, we have whole segments. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow at 2:30. We'll finish up the mailbag show. Maybe not. We'll make a dent in the
We'll make a
mailbag.
dent,
Yes.
yeah.
and go from there. Hopefully some more news to come. We'll talk to you then on a CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.